Are you a business owner or employee who needs to network but is terrified of walking into a room full of people you don't know? Are you afraid of being left out of conversations or being awkward in the conversations you do have? Your tour guide, Faithann, is here to walk alongside you through the networking terrain, offering tips and tricks to network with ease. She'll also bring insightful interviews with successful business owners who have used networking to expand their businesses. Building relationships is the heart of networking, and generosity is the cruise ship that will navigate you toward those important relationships for your business or career. Grab your sunscreen and suitcase. Faithann is ready. Are you?
Hello there, and welcome to the Networkers Tour Guide podcast. I'm glad you found the show. Networking is providing opportunities for others that they would not have except for you, so that you have standing to ask for opportunities from people when you need them. How do we create opportunities for others, and how do we ask for those same opportunities? Well, that's what this podcast is all about. It's what I'm here for. Let's dive into episode 50. Welcome to another episode of the Networkers Tour Guide podcast. If this is your first time here, welcome. And if you're returning, thank you so much for coming back. This episode is a solo episode. It's just you and me, and we're talking about building rapport and trusting credibility. In episode 48, I mentioned this networking building, and I spent episode 48 talking about tact, the very first floor of networking success. Go back and listen to episode 48 if you haven't done so. In episode 48, I talk about things that we can do that close off the rest of the networking building to us. When we close off opportunities because of these small things that we're doing, and most of them do involve assumptions that we make. And then when people have to correct our assumptions, it's tactless. In episode 48, I spent time talking about the less obvious tactless moves. And real quick, here are a couple of the highlights. Making assumptions about two people being together when they're not together and the implications of that. Being off-putting about protecting your seat in an industry-exclusive group. Using foul language or inappropriate language. And then I kind of wrapped up the episode talking about being careful when you are complaining about other local businesses or business owners, being real careful in rooms full of people you know and you don't know, because more than likely you're going to be talking poorly about somebody that a person in the room is close to. Go back and listen to episode 48 and make sure that you're not doing any of these things that are tactless, and most importantly, they close people off to you. I wanted to add one more aspect of tact because it is the very first floor of our networking building. And then we'll move on to the second floor. Let me talk about interruptions. When we are in our meetings, during especially the open networking time where we're just talking to people, we're working the room, and we interrupt two people who are already in a conversation simply to put something in front of them, like a business card or a flyer, we will close off opportunities to go up to the second floor of our building of rapport building. There isn't anything that you have, unless, of course, you have a life-saving medication and someone's on the floor with a heart attack. If you have something life-saving, of course you want to interrupt. How often does that happen? Most of the time, what you have is something that you really, really want people to know about, but you're not willing to wait for an opportunity. So you decide to interrupt a conversation and say, hey, here's my business card, or hey, I want to invite you to this XYZ next Monday. Most of us know well enough not to do this. It is one of those tact foundations, so I wanted to mention it in that first floor. If you don't have the time to wait for a natural opening in a conversation, to come into a conversation and actually talk to people, then whatever thing that you have that you want people to know about can wait because there's a cost. If you want people to know about your things, the cost of that is coming into a conversation, asking some questions about the other person, being polite and waiting for that opening. I remember several years ago, I was at a networking meeting and there was a person, when he stood up, he would have been an ideal client for me for my window cleaning business. And I did the dumb thing. Afterwards, I had to leave right away. So I went up to him. He was talking to somebody and I said, here's my business card. We do window cleaning. I'd love to talk to you. And then I left. Well, of course, we never connected because I didn't make the time. I wanted my cake and I wanted to eat it too. I wanted him to know that I was a window cleaner or that I had a window cleaning company, but I wasn't willing to stick around and talk to him. So I don't deserve an opportunity to work with him because I wasn't willing to do just a simple, most basic, polite thing and enter into a real conversation with him to learn about him. So we want to avoid interrupting people during open networking and passing our business cards out to people, passing out our flyers. The other reason why we don't want to do this is when you're interrupted, it breaks the flow of a conversation that two people are having, and likely getting back to the feel and the vibe of that conversation that those two people were having before you is going to be harder. And is that what you want to leave people with? I don't think so. So our networking building, in episode 48, I talked about this. And let me just repeat the networking building, all of the floors on the networking building. Our bottom floor is tact, mostly around things that we shouldn't be doing, assumptions that we shouldn't be making. When we are tactful, we can go up to the second floor of rapport building. When we have built rapport, we can go up to the third floor of trust and credibility with those around us. When we can establish trust and credibility, we move up to the fourth floor, which is referrals, because people trust us. And then finally, when we receive those referrals, we move up to the fifth floor, and that is revenue received to our business. We all want to get up to the fifth floor, revenue. We have to start at the bottom with tact and move our way up. We don't go into a building and click our heels together twice and say, there's no place like revenue, there's no place like revenue, and find ourselves in the fifth floor. We have to go through each floor to get there. Tact is the first one. Now let's go up to the second floor, rapport. In episode 15 of this podcast is called Think of Everything. It's also the name of the blog article that I wrote, Think of Everything. And I talk a lot about building rapport in conversations, being the tour guide of every conversation. What does that mean? Leaving conversations better than you found them by asking good questions. You're welcome to download my 10 questions resource, which is in the show notes, of questions to ask in a one-to-one meeting. You can also pull from these questions ones that you might actually use in your networking meeting in the bigger group. So your questions are going to have two objectives. You can have more, you can add your own. The questions that I like to ask mainly center around two objectives. First, I love asking questions that allow people to be the experts in their field. What surprises you most about? What's changed in your industry? What do most people get wrong when it comes to, and you put their profession in there? I love asking that question because it really lets people answer you, because they're going to know, oh, you wouldn't believe how many people assume that XYZ when really it's this. The second objective is to allow people to recall pleasant experiences from their past and pull up stories with a bucket from a well that they didn't even know they had. And I talk about this in Tour 17 of the Networkers Tour Guide blog, and I'll link that in the show notes. It's called Bring a Bucket to the Well. So we want to ask people questions. What's your favorite? What do you love most about the work that you do? What's been the most exciting part of your week so far? You're priming them to pull up a bunch of memories, and of all of the good ones, pick the best one. That builds rapport. Rapport is, I'm a nice person, I'm friendly, interested, and open. So when you're building rapport with people, you're revealing to them that you are friendly, you are interested in them, and you're open. You're open for opportunities. You're open for relationship. Build rapport. The second floor, build rapport. And you can get so good at this that when you walk into a room with somebody, to the outside world, to the people who are already in the room, and they look over at you and the person you're walking in the room with, they think that you guys are both in the same business or the same company, or you're together. Now, you got to be careful about assuming that. That's in episode 48. Don't do that, because there can be ramifications for making these assumptions. But it is kind of nice in a small way, when people make an assumption that you're with somebody and you're not. It's just that from the door of the building to the room you find yourself in at that moment, you've had a great conversation. You start asking that person questions, and the questions are so good that they're now talking to you like you're a long-lost friend. Being open to possibilities is one of the aspects of building rapport. Sometimes our subconscious can pick up on body language that lets us know that this person we're talking to isn't truly interested in us because they've made an assumption. So being open to talking to all of the people in the room, you don't have to talk to all of them, but I mean, be open that every person in the room could know somebody that would be a good contact for you. That's a great way to build rapport. So you don't close yourself off. Oh, you're a travel agent. I don't need a travel agent. I don't work with travel agents. So the conversation I'm going to have with Mary, the travel agent, is going to be pretty short. And, my whole body's just going to kind of tell her that I'm not all that interested in her. Do the opposite of that. Oh, a travel agent. I'm going to ask her about traveling because she loves to travel. Most travel agents love traveling. So that's a great way to build rapport. Yeah, maybe I don't work with travel agents, but Mary, the travel agent, may know the person that you're really trying to get to know, the person that would be a good client for you. And then this one is a little bit of a not quite a big objective as the other two, which would be letting people be the experts, letting people understand that you're friendly, open, and interested. And then that third one, allowing people to pull up stories that they didn't even know they had. But the other thing you can do in this rapport building stage is plant seeds about how you help people. I think it's okay to do that. Plant seeds about how you help people. You can talk about your business and talk about results as long as it's not too lopsided. Okay, you have to have other people's interests, understanding what motivates them, what do they love, that you should be interested in that. Probably more on the side of being interested in them and what makes them love life than wanting to share about your business, although that is perfectly acceptable to do. So you just kind of have to be aware of what the balance is. Is every single conversation being guided by me so that I'm taking them down the path of planting seeds, how I work with my clients, and there aren't any conversations where I'm really, truly interested and I'm just going to let the conversation go where the other person takes it, then that's not good. However, if you don't ever decide that you're going to lead a conversation and you're going to plant seeds, that's not good either. You're there to create opportunities for yourself. The more rapport you have with those people that you're seeing, the more that you're going to be able to plant seeds about how you help people. Make sure you're spending over half finding out why people in the room are there. What do they love about life? What do they love about their business? What can they teach you about their profession that you don't know? Rapport just does so much for the business owner. Rapport is the second floor. Work to build rapport with people that you network with.
Hey, networkers. If you want your next one-to-one to go beyond swapping business cards, Faithann's got something for you. She created a free resource called 10 Questions to Ask in a One-to-One. It's packed with thoughtful questions that help you get to know someone and leave a lasting impression. Click on the 10 questions link in the show notes and download this resource today.
Now, when you get in that rapport floor, you can move up to the third floor, trust and credibility. Trust and credibility. It's a deeper level. It's not just that Faithann is a nice person and friendly and open. It's that I think Faithann would be okay if my mother needed to use her. I think I'd be okay with finding out if I might refer my mother to Faithann. Okay? Trust and credibility. So how do we build trust and credibility? We're on the third floor. We haven't upset anybody. We haven't closed off our opportunities by being tactless, by making assumptions that we shouldn't. And we've built rapport. We've asked good questions. We've revealed that we're friendly, interested, and open to others. Now we're in trust and credibility. Trust and credibility in networking meetings can come first by consistently showing up at the meeting. So every time the meeting is being held, Mary is there. People can count on seeing Mary at this meeting that meets on Mondays at 9 a.m. That is so important. It's simple, but it's so important to be there. When the meeting is being held, you're there. That will build your trust and credibility. You can be really, really nice and friendly and open. If people aren't seeing you regularly, it doesn't matter how nice, friendly, and open you are, because when their mother is needing that chiropractor, your name's not going to come in their head. When their friend is needing a travel agent, they're not going to think of you if it's been 3-4 months since they've seen you. Okay? You got to show up. And that's why picking which meetings you choose to plant roots in is so important. If it's a meeting that you're not going to be able to make except hit or miss, then it's better just not to go. Find a meeting or 2 or 3, whatever you feel like you can handle, plant roots and be there when the meeting is being held. Be there. Be there with your friendliness and your openness and your curiosity about others and your strategic seed planting questions and conversations. Another way to build trust and credibility is to insert testimonials in your introductions. In your pitch, the official introduction time, which a lot of meetings have, a time where you can stand up and say, I'm Faithann with a Networkers Tour Guide. I feed hungry networkers. At least that's what they tell me after a strategy session with me, or whatever you're going to say. A testimonial is a great way to establish trust and credibility. You can say, before working with me, Bob was this. Then Bob hired me, and now Bob is that. A short testimonial that focuses on results, doesn't focus on how you did it, but the results. What is the happily ever after that you deliver? Get a client to tell you, would you be willing to give me a short testimonial that I can use? Absolutely. And then you take, if it's a Google review or they just write one and send it to you, take what they say and pull out from it the most important part of what they say, which is going to be the results. I couldn't do this before working with Bob, and now I can. I didn't know what I was going to do when it comes to fill in the blank. But now, after working with Mary, I have everything I need, or everything is better now. Whatever that result is, put it in your pitch. The other thing you can do to build trust and credibility is have one-to-ones. And in your one-to-ones, it's almost like there's a whole nother building for your one-to-ones that has all of these components: tact, rapport, trust and credibility, referrals, revenue. I'm not going to go into all that right now. One way, though, to build trust and credibility among the business owners and those people that have nonprofits, people who are wanting to influence other people in some way, when you're among them, one way you can build trust and credibility is have a one-to-one meeting with one of them. Hey, Bob, I would love to get to know more about your business. What makes your business tick? I'm really interested. Are you willing to have a one-to-one with me on Monday at 3:00? Okay, have one-to-ones. And when you get to your one-to-ones, make sure that you're on time. Make sure that you confirm 24 hours before. Make sure when you first sit down, you establish how long this is going to be. Bob, I've slotted out an hour for this meeting. Does this still work for you? If you have to leave right at an hour, tell Bob when it starts, I got to leave right at 1:00. So let's dive into your business first so I can make sure that I get the full picture of Bob's carpet cleaning. Those are small little things you can do that are tactful, build even further rapport, and then be curious and open and interested. Ask some of those questions on the 10 questions to ask in a one-to-one download that you can grab when you're done listening to this. Okay, one-to-ones. It's so revealing. When you have one-to-ones with people, you have that longer time to really get to know them better, more than like 10 minutes at a meeting. So having one-to-ones, when you have a one-to-one with Bob, Bob's like, okay, I've seen her every time this chamber event is being held. She's there. She's already asked me some great questions. She asked me this really cool question about what's changed in my industry. Now, they may not consciously be thinking all of this, but subconsciously, this is what's going on in their minds. And now we're going to have coffee, and she confirmed the day before, and she's coming in and she's asking me more questions. She's not trying to pitch me. I like Mary, and I would fully, confidently recommend my neighbor to Mary. Okay? Have one-to-ones. And then the final thing you can do to build rapport, the final thing you can do to build trust and credibility is to serve in a leadership role at the meeting. So if the meeting needs a person to introduce speakers, volunteer. If that meeting needs people to greet visitors, which is vital to any meeting. If you are a founder of a networking meeting and you are listening right now, visitors need to feel welcome. And often it's not enough just to want that to happen and assume that that's going to happen. A little side trail here. This won't last long. If you are a person who runs a networking meeting or has started one, be intentional about who's the person that's going to greet a new person, that new person that's coming in who's terrified. Who is the person that's going to calm their amygdala down by saying, hello, Victoria, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. How did you hear about us? I love your necklace. Victoria, you could have spent your Monday morning anywhere and you chose our meeting. Thank you. This is what we do. Tell them what to do next. Find somebody to introduce them to so that they're not just left out in the middle of the ocean without a lifeboat, without anything. Okay. To build trust and credibility, maybe you're that person who welcomes visitors, or you're the person who makes sure the slideshow is the way it's supposed to be, or you're the person who makes sure that the tables and chairs are set up that's another way you can build trust and credibility. You serve on a leadership role in your meetings so that everyone has a good time. Okay, everyone feels welcome. Now, next episode is going to be that 4th floor of referrals. We start with tact, have some tact, go up to that 2nd floor, rapport, let people know that you're friendly, open, and interested. Then you can go up to that 3rd floor where people start to trust you. And this is so important when it comes to referrals. This is the necessary piece. They have to know that they can trust you, because when they make a referral, they give a little piece of their reputation away. And so it's self-serving in a way. Others aren't going to refer you if there's a chance that it could backfire, that you're not going to deliver. And then the person that they referred now looks at them as somebody who doesn't make good recommendations. And it's happened to me. So I've made bad recommendations before, of course, not willingly, not intentionally. It really hurts. It's not good. So trust is necessary. You will not receive referrals if people can't trust you. You just won't. You can be as nice as ever, but if you haven't built trust, you'll just keep going to the meetings and nothing will ever happen from them. Okay? Trust and credibility is an important floor in your networking building, which leads to referrals. As I wrap this up, I want to invite you to download the 10 questions resource that you can use in your one-to-ones. You can use in your networking meetings that build rapport. That's 2nd floor. And then I would like to invite you to join my Facebook group, The Networkers Tour Guide. I go live in the group on a weekly basis for more networking tips and tricks. So you can find the link to the Facebook group in the show notes as well. Go network, my friend, and start building that rapport. And then go up to your 3rd floor, trust and credibility. And it's highly likely that if you can make it to the 3rd floor of trust and credibility, you will make it up to the 5th floor, revenue to your business.
You've been listening to the Networkers Tour Guide podcast with Faithann Basore. Share this episode with a friend and be sure to come back next week for more networking tips and tricks from the Networkers Tour Guide.